Donald Trump claims that he wants to make America great again. But what if you believe that America's doing pretty good already? Well, then something like this might happen.
Shut your mouth. Maybe they'll say, who cares about Social Security? We're going to save Social Security. We're not going to change the deal.
You're at a Trump rally?
We're not going to change the deal. We're going to save
Ditch them.
You know, when you think of it, all of the
disagree with
things that we all want.
Yeah, I said ditch them. Very simple.
Sometimes I'll be rough. I'll say, get him out of here. And then one time, 2 weeks later, I said, what's going on back there?
What did we do?
Or not.
He didn't ask us to leave. They asked us to leave. If he wants to ask us to leave, he can. If he wants to ask us to leave, he can. You want us to leave? You want us to leave? You want to throw us out? He can throw us out. They can. He can throw us out. They can. Let's go. USA! 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 USA!
I mean, first of all, there was something scary about that, right? Didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man, that is...
No, I was saying before the show, I saw this in a movie recently, The Last Planet of the Apes. I mean, you saw the people like, Trump, Trump, Trump! I saw when the monkeys clashed, the good monkey, the bad monkey, they're just, arr, 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 in the background. And you see the stupid simian brain that we still have, that a lot of people were mad and wanted to do something, and then one guy ripped the sign a little bit, and so the other guy ran over and grabbed part of it. Because like, oh, we're attacking, USA, USA. No thought. Whatever rationality, whatever true sentience we had as a species just goes away when enemies in the midst. Those guys were literally sitting there with signs. They didn't even fill up the whole sign. They only used the top half of the sign, and that was still too much for these incredibly sensitive Trump lovers to take.
Yeah, there's the other. Wow. So I didn't realize that he was holding a God bless. I only saw the first video the first time. So
how dare God bless America at a Republican rally?
Well, he said God bless President Obama was on the other side.
Well, yeah, that's offensive.
That's a. Well, I mean, but that is designed to invoke ire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look at that guy with the American flag around his. Man, these guys.
Oh, there's a lot of American flags.
Yeah, some of these people, they look nice.
They look normal.
Right.
I'm going to go on a limb and say they look similar. I'm not going to say how, but very similar. This is in Massachusetts, by the way. I'm assuming
Who's leading them out? Are those real cops?
Yeah, I believe that's the security posted at the rally.
So the great irony is that the guy had a sign that the chanting USA, which caused the protesters, the two guys, to also chant USA.
They were chanting USA.
Right, and so the irony there, first of all, so it ends with USA, USA for throwing people out who the sign that they objected to most was a sign that said, America is already great. And so they rip up a sign and chant USA, USA.
No, it's not. It's not great.
America sucks. America sucks. USA.
Sucks.
I mean,
America sucks, and I hate Obama because I think he doesn't like America.
So it is. It's just
it's
look,
scary.
these guys came in and they made their signs and they have I don't know whether it said "God bless America" and then the other side said "God bless President Obama." I thought maybe he turned it around.
I thought it said "Make America Great Again" than the other side, but it's possible that with two signs maybe they didn't have the same. But
something said God bless President Obama, and obviously that's going to, you know, you're looking to get thrown out.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
You're looking to disturb,
to rile.
Yeah, you're trolling.
I have no interest in people stopping a speech from being given or stopping a rally from happening. They weren't standing up blocking people's view, screaming or anything. They were sitting there with a sign like everybody else was doing. I am not asking the people at that rally to like the sign. I'm simply saying to throw someone out because they don't yet love the politician that you love. And the reason that it bothers me, one is I love that everyone in that crowd, I have a feeling, hates when people are so sensitive about the things people say and do, but they can't take a sign being behind them. They have to throw them out. But also, it's that, like, you have apparently either so little faith in Donald Trump's ability to persuade someone to support him that you don't think anyone should be there that does not already love him. The idea that political speeches and political rallies have no persuasive purpose. Right. There's no reason a non-committed voter should go there or would want to go there. Only if you love and are devoted to this God man should you be there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It was just, but the irony of them chanting USA
for censorship, effectively,
for censoring people who had a sign that said "America is great" is rich, and it's just and the mob mentality there that you saw it in those lumps. Faces, those two guys, those two
guys principally,
those two hateful guys, and then on the wide shot you saw some others around it. And I'm reminded of cops who don't stop other cops. Like there's just a mentality of like, why didn't no one there was like, hey, we all love Trump, just stop, don't rip his sign, don't rip his sign. If you want him out, let's go get security and have the security take their signs. Like,
there's some chance that person be thrown out.
Yeah, but I mean right. Okay, well then get thrown out, but do the right thing. And that was not the right. Those guys got, I think, what they wanted. They were looking for that kind of thing, and they wanted not only for there to be them thrown out, but they want Trump to yell at their section. They want to be the one that helps Trump. No, but I meant the guys who got thrown out. But
that's true.
Those guys spent, because I mean they must have spent close to 40 seconds making those signs.
You're including the buying of the sign,
including right, and then I don't know. You got a Sharpie, just write "America's already great again," and they didn't even leave enough space. Like it had to get smaller.
No, and like I said, they didn't even use. They used like that much.
You know when you write something really nice and then you run out of room on the line, you have to go down. It's such a bummer. But that said, and maybe they knew not to overdo the sign because they knew like the sign is.
It's just going to get ripped up. I'm not putting glitter
on it. But I,
of
course, am reminded of our friend and colleague who held up a sign outside the home of Elian Gonzalez's American family in Cuba. The big sign in the middle of that crowd of Cuban-American fanatics. Held up a sign that said, "Send Elian home." And then that guy was beat up and yanked and thrown to the ground, and his sign ripped up, and the police had to come in and safely escort him out of there.
Yeah. That was
Cenk Uygur.
That was Cenk Uygur.
That was Cenk Uygur in 1990.
I got where you were going eventually. Yeah. Now we
put him in a police car, and he was like, "But this makes it seem like I'm being arrested." And he's like, "Well, we can take you." Officer's like, "You're right. We're not arresting you. We can let you out of the car."
Yeah.
And Cenk was like, "I'll stay in the car."
probably safer that way.
The car's probably fine.
Now, at the same time, that was in Massachusetts. Trump has a speech that he's doing, a rally he's doing in Vermont. Our TRT reporter, Jordan Cheriton, is there. Now, there was a bit of a scandal because apparently they can only fit something like 1,600 people. They sent out something like 14 to 20,000 people wanted invitations. They gave it to them. And so they can't fit that many people. And so they're stopping people at the door and saying, "Are you a Donald Trump supporter?" And if you say no, they will not allow you in. They say because it's a private event. So private that we invited 20,000 people. Whoever wanted to come. That's how private it is.